first I will talk a little bit about the program. Camarim, Cena is a program that exists since 2015, and it's also a TV show. The program, the essence of the program is to get closer to the artist and somehow understand how these artists get ready to start a show, how these artists creates. So it's like being closer to the universe of an artist. So you can make questions with a lot of liberty and try to know better and in a deeper way Tadashi Endo. And it's a privilege to all of us. So, well, Tadashi is a reference of Butoh worldwide. He is also the director of Butoh Center, Mamu in Germany. The work of Tadashi search the space in between, right? So this is space in between Western and East, the space in between male and female, and also he used minimal movement to produce maximum tension, right, and to produce the maximum impact. And well, I think we will all be very honored to know him better tonight. Tadashi, thank you very much for your presence, for your generosity to open your dressing room and to let us in, right? Thank you very much. Well, I know I'm being quite literal, but I want to be faithful to the title of this program. So I want to ask you first, how do you prepare to go to the stage? Do you have any rituals? What do you usually do in your dressing room?
Oh, of course, usually I'm almost naked before I go to the stage, and I paint all my body. That is my cream and Japanese and sponge and so paint. And I don't do today now because that is the absolute for me the secret time. So I need this time to concentrate before I go to the stage. And then another, of course, a little bit warm up, but not that I become real sweat. So my program shot before my stage, so a little bit each finger join or the hand join and elbow and all these joints I moved, and that's all.
And how long did you take to prepare?
Oh, sometimes very fast because I didn't have enough time, sometimes technical problem, and just short before the show starts, I'm finished, and then I'm paint very quickly. And usually I need a minimum 30-40 minutes, but 1 hour before I go to the dressing room and started to prepare. Yeah.
Yes, it's also a way to concentrate, to get ready.
Yes, that is, you know, usually if I started to make the show, and in the morning, my technician started already the setup and prepared, but almost never happened everything perfect. Something happened. And you have to know for that time reserve. And for that reason, you must know to prepare time plus, and that is my preparing.
You have to consider that sometimes something is wrong, goes wrong, right?
Yes, no, and then become more nervous, but it's okay. Since 30 years almost, I know this situation, but of course, every time, each stage is a kind of premiere, and I need this adrenaline, and otherwise, stage is not so good.
How do you became the artist that you are?
I studied theater in Japan, and I was in a university, and I played some pieces from Jean-Paul Sartre or Bert Brecht and Max Frisch and Dürrenmatt or Pirandello and normal drama theater. And also I directed some modern no play from Yukio Mishima. But at the time when I was a student in a theater group, it was very political problem moment, that student power was very strong, and we are fighting almost every day against the Japanese system and the politic, and against American politic. And so I become more a political group instead to play the theater or to join the theater group. And then, of course, it's at the time, every demonstration was a violence. And we never demonstrated just singing or peaceful. All times with violence, with bamboos, and some student had a Molotov cocktail in the pocket, and stones, and also police was all times attacked us, and like in Brazil sometimes also there's the tear gun, and so, and I was arrested, but I was not criminal. And I was 24 days in jail, and my father was afraid. Tadashi become more radical, political way, and lose everything. And then he asked me when I came out, Tadashi, what do you want to do? Do you want to play a theater, continue, or you want to make revolution in Japan? And then I said immediately, no, in Japan we cannot make a revolution. We don't have real proletariat, and also not bourgeois, and so I want to play theater. And then he said, then try to go foreign country, because it was real impossible at the time in Japan to work theater way continue, because left-wing student groups fight each other. Trotskyism against Japanese communists, against Maoists, against Rosa Luxemburg and Lenin, and every left-wing student group fight. And I decided to go to Europe, because at the time I hate America. I didn't want to go to America, because at the time our Japanese politics was completely under the American system, like now also. And we fight special South Island, Okinawa, against the American base. But what American did in Okinawa, and still now made this big base and destroyed all real traditional nature. But Japanese government didn't fight against. So almost the same situation at the time. And then I decided to come to Germany, And I studied first philosophy and Germanistic. But under university, we had the theater group, and I joined the theater group, and I directed with student actors, actress, one German theater piece in Frank Wedekind. That is the theater piece. But I was so disappointed that I couldn't direct what I wanted because the different sense of culture and, of course, the language. And so I decided to learn more professional way, and I went to Vienna at Max Reinhardt's seminar, quite famous actors school and theater school. And then I studied theater directing. And because I knew I, as Japanese, cannot play Hamlet, for example. And so it's better to direct the theater. And I learned also pantomime there, and fencing, and judo, and physical lesson also a lot. And then 3 years later, I got the first engagement in theater in Göttingen, where I live now. And small theater, and I could start to work. And then first small theater, so I have to arrange stage decoration, I have to help the light, I have to sell ticket, and also I have to play some theater play, and everything we have to do for everything like that. And then I changed another theater, the Deutsches Theater, the big theater, and become more comfortable because I get the salary, and then every day I have to rehearsal and perform, but I feel I am not an artist. I feel I am a salaryman in a bank, or it's the same, because every day the same time rehearsal and same times performance, and I couldn't variate my rehearsal time or performance that I want or I don't want, or and so I stopped to work in theater. And then since then I'm freelancer and made the many amateur theater group, and I collaborated my first performances without any dance technique with jazz musician, and most jazz musicians played free, like Steve Lacy and Connie Bauer and Gunther Sommer, and also Cecil Taylor is so crazy. And I was so surprised how free the musician can improvise if they perform with me together without watching how I moved, and completely ignorate. And it doesn't matter how I dance. When they play, and then I started to ignorate the music also. And then sometimes through this harmony happen fantastic moment, absolute harmonic moment. And the audience asked me after the performance, "Oh, how long did you rehearse this performance tonight?" And sorry, we met today morning and breakfast in hotel, and then spoke. Oh, we can do together, okay? And so sometimes happen like this, and this just for fun and the absolute spontaneous improvisation I like a lot, and I did a lot with jazz musician, and also sometimes I invited the painter And so they made the action painting during I dance. Then 1989, Kazuo Ohno came to Vienna and gave workshop and performances. I knew Butô, but I was already older than 30, and my wish was not now to start to dance. So, of course, I didn't want to join his workshop, but my wife paid already for workshop and said, "Oh, you should go to Kazuo Ohno's workshop. I paid already." Oh, shit, and okay, good, why not? And so I joined first time Kazuo Ohno's workshop. And I was, of course, absolutely touched, not only through his performances, from this human being. It's like a shaman, magician, everything. And very important, I remember my father. Something inside, so radical, revolutionary something. And so I invited him to my city, Göttingen. That was 1990. And then he stayed in our house and with his wife and assistant. And then Kazuo Ohno talked to me, "Tadashi, you live in Germany, and your base is now in Germany, and many people want to join my workshop or want to learn Butô or want to dance Butô, but they cannot come to Japan, and I cannot come so often to Germany, and start to work something and with the people, and for that reason you need some space. So build a kind of Butoh Center. And you have to give the publishment. So for that reason, it's the best way, make Butô Festival. And so we started 1992, our first Butô Festival, and a lot of Butô dancers who are already very known came to Göttingen. And that was for me the starting point to become as Butô dancer. But I never called before when I performed as a Butô dancer. I didn't know what I did. Just happening or improvisation, or I didn't know. And now I'm happy to say I'm Butô dancer, special through Kazuo Ohno.
Tadashi, and what about your creative process? You talk a little bit about improvisation, but how do you create a piece like Fukushima Mon Amour or like Emma? I don't know. It's always the same. It's different. It changes.
Of course, my dance is all time the same. I cannot dance different. Yeah? Title is different, and sometimes costume is different, and stage and light and music different. How I create the piece depends on my life situation and also the general our life situation. Fukushima Mon Amour is very clear. After the Fukushima catastrophe, I wanted to send my love feeling somehow. I couldn't send a lot of money or material or something to help. So that was the sign from me to create Fukushima Mon Amour through actual theme. Political situation. because that is not only a natural catastrophe. Natural catastrophe happen all times in Japan. We have a lot of earthquake, and almost every week we have small earthquakes. And tsunami are also sure 1 or 2 times a year. Not so big like Fukushima, but the big problem is this human catastrophe. And so for that reason, I made that piece. But Ma, it was my first solo piece that I call Butoh dance, and I performed first time in Tokyo. That Kazuo Ohno helped me, and Yoshito Ohno, his son, helped me, and ex-wife of Tatsumi Hijikata helped me, and a lot of Butoh dancers helped my stage in Tokyo, because they are real curious to see Japanese Butoh dancer from Germany. Huh? And title Ma was about my lifestyle. I, as Japanese, live in Germany with German lifestyle. And my feeling is still Japanese and more Japanese than before. And if I come to Japan, I feel sometimes I'm foreigner. I am Japanese, but I don't feel absolute connected with actual Japanese life and Japanese people. So some distance. And I hate Japanese political situation a lot, but I love Japanese landscape, I love Japanese food, and I love Japanese cherry blossom and everything. But also sometimes I hate how Japanese people speak about political situation, life sense. Sometimes I'm so disappointed and also become angry. That means I am all times distance with something. And this zone I call in between, I need this. If I touch completely Japanese identity, German identity or something, then I stopped everything because that is comfortable, and I become so lazy and I don't need to dance. And then it's nothing. So I need all times tension between. And then I studied theater. From theater come to dance. Very late. Usually many people who started to dance is already as child. And so, but I learned through the theater work what especially Butoh dancer doesn't have, a kind of dramaturgy, for example. And I'm happy, I can see what I learn and put in my dance. And also I need a little bit distance from the theater, even from the Butoh dance. I call a Butoh-Ma. That is my own style.
We are talking a little bit about that before we came here, but it's how does the body of the performer relate with costumes, and can the painted skin be considered a costume?
The first, as you see, my most costume are kimono, so Japanese, and all these kimono are very, very old, and older than I use it first time. And I bought in a second-hand shop in Japan because original is too expensive. I cannot pay. So, for example, this costume, that is a silk, but it's old silk, doesn't produce more. Another silk you can buy still, but this not more. And then kimono, many years ago, more than 100 years ago, and the people use it kimono, put the kimono on, and like my style, become dirty, and they don't wash because then become smaller or the tight. But of course, otherwise sticky. So how they wash the kimono? They put the separate, the sewing part, again take out and separate, and separate, and separate. Everything separate, then wash, and then finally sewing again. Lot of work. And I cannot more like this style, and so I don't do. And all my kimono is very sticky and dirty. And because I sweat a lot on the stage, and also through my white color body cream, and so all together. And sometimes I use it the outside performances, and then some grasses and earth and many things together. But I love this dirty, sticky costume because that is my life experience. But some other costume that is for example, this costume that is not I bought in the second-hand shop. That is the woman costume designer made this costume through together with lot of different kimonos rest together. So I think there's 5 or 6 broken kimono stuff that put together, and yeah, costume is for me important. Kazuo Ohno said, if you carry the costume, think about you carry the sky roof. You have big responsibility. It's so heavy. That is not just put on and take off. Costume is something metamorphosing happen. If you put the costume, you are not more you. And if you take off, you have still skin costume. And you self is under the skin. And under the skin, what is under the skin? Bones or cell or meat or blood? No, he said, soul. That you. But this soul we cannot see because we covered with our body costume, skin. And he said, on this costume, you put another costume. There's much more response.
Butoh is more like a state of spirit or a technique, or if it's more poetic than aesthetic. How can someone identify if someone is dancing Butoh? Because Butoh is such a free dance.
Yeah, of course, Butoh is free. First, Butoh is a very young dance. Is about 60 years old, and I feel Butoh is still in process. It's not finished. Mm-hmm. Maybe some technique exists, some form exists. I don't know. Also, I don't care. And because the very, very beginning, how this Butoh started. When I heard from Yoshito Ohno, from Kazuo Ohno, and even when I read Tatsumi Hijikata's essays and books, very beginning was not dance. That was more happening and protest against any conventional culture. Also against the Japanese traditional dance and theater form. That means in the beginning, Butoh was radical way, very protest against anything. Tatsumi Hijikata, even Kazuo Ohno, started to dance the modern dance. At that time, was modern dance mean American dance, and only girls dance, no boys. And they went, and especially Tatsumi Hijikata. He went to the dance school, to modern dance lesson, because he wanted to dance hard. But what he saw was weak. All girls so elastic, and he hated this dance. He wanted to dance hard. And he saw Nazi Jugend, this German young, tall, blonde hair soldier under the Hitler at that time. He was fascinated from this young German soldier. Hard. And he said, I want to dance like a Hitler Jugend, German young soldier. He had no chance to dance outside of the dance school and his own style. So he went to the dance school, but in the lesson, he did all times wrong. Any classical technique, he did wrong. And then teacher was all times angry with him, and then someone, you don't need to come more. But he didn't want to stop to dance. Then create their own style. That was Ankoku Butoh time in the beginning. Ankoku mean darkness, dance of the darkness. Why dance of the darkness, he called? Because our life came from the darkness, and our body has lot of secret darkness, and our in the darkness exists lot of feeling, and we Japanese rice farmer works with mud earth, wet earth, not in the sky. So all times this character from the darkness into the darkness, instant to the sky, to be more light or fly and elastic like a classical ballet technique. No, opposite. That was the beginning, the end of the 50s. And when I think about this beginning of Butoh, then of course that is typical Japanese dance for Japanese body. But what's happened in Japan directly, Butoh is not popular. Many people doesn't know about Butoh. And more European, American, and Brazilian, Mexican people knows about Butoh, are interested also for Butoh, and some people dance Butoh. Of course, they dance never Japanese Butoh dance. But Butoh doesn't have fixed technique, fixed form that we can say, if you dance Butoh, that is not real Butoh. Nobody can say that. Even Japanese people cannot say. And I think this development is important, and for me is wonderful, and maybe a kind of re-import we Japanese people can learn. Why not? And maybe later name changed, Butoh, maybe something other. And so this process, I feel in future more important. What's happened from the Japanese Butoh now, and 60 years.
Where does this energy comes from? You are almost 70 years old, so I think it's an interesting question because you have a lot of energy, and there are any breathing technique?
The first, I don't know, have I energy? I have a big ambitions. Still, I'm hungry. And doesn't matter how old I am. I feel sometimes, still I'm not adult. I'm child. I'm hungry, I'm curious. Maybe that brings me the energy. And other side, physical body become older, then of course you cannot jump more so high, or you cannot turn more speedy, faster, or many physical limited work that you have to accept. But if you are getting older, you can dance much more full inside that as young people couldn't, because the life experience is too little. And that I think for my work, then energy is for me something form. This form we cannot learn, we don't need to learn, everybody had. Everybody had this energy. And what is this form of energy? That is the sign of the endless, 8. That is for me the energy. Why on our body exists so lot of line, like a spiral, like a 8, like an endless sign, on finger, eyes, ears, tongues, belly bottom, feet sole, earth, brain, everywhere this 8. And that is for me is a form of energy. And that everybody has. If we use this energy correct way, if we use wrong style, this energy, then maybe become sick, become wounded, accident. But if you see the handicapped people, they body form, style, how looks? Spiral. Why? Because they couldn't develop like you, like me, the line. They still keep this Peking energy form. But if they wanted to do some simple, they wanted to drink something, we can drink, and sometimes we can read, sometimes we can speak, and no problem. But these people cannot. For simple movement to take one glass, move face, finger, feet, everywhere. That means they use all this 8 energy for one simple movement. Oh, it's so fantastic. We can learn from them. Why we don't use all this energy? Because we become so comfortable through industry, through digital technical development, much more comfortable. I'm also comfortable at home if I'm watching television, football, and so. But for the work, the Butoh, I tried it. Minimal, something to remember what we had, what I had. And otherwise my life became very, very soon lazy and stopped, and then bye-bye the world.
How is your relationship with technology, Tadashi? Do you...
I feel I'm so lazy to learn any technique or technological changing life. Okay, Fukushima Monamu, I use it first time in my, not first time, second time in my stage video projector. And when I made the synopsis with Max Planck Institute scientist and overtone singer Sainko Namchurak from Mongolian Russia, I created this piece also with some project. On the screen, we could see the synapse movement inside in the brain. I went to the Leipzig and they took my brain picture in the monitor. And later I use it. My son made the slow motion picture. And we wanted to make more on the stage, for example, the smoke curtain. So with this smoke machine and special technique, you can make that as curtain. But if you touch, then it's, you can go through. But if the smoke curtain very quiet, then you can put the also picture on the smoke. Yeah? And then also sound, the stage sound. If I do this, under the stage wood, the microphone or special, yeah, lot of technique. And then finally I said, cut. Because a kind of this development, of course, if you can use, you can do a lot of things. But then finally you lose something because that helped. And you are surprised from yourself. Wow, wonderful, this technique, wonderful. And then finally, where are you? So my stage usually more archives against the technological development. I love body pure. I love skin and bone and, and of course, the technology is also important, and if I can use and develop somehow different way, maybe. But now I don't think so much to use something.
We live days of crisis, transformation. Well, it's difficult to define where we are in the course of history, right? It's very difficult to say, but anyway, I think art plays a very important role to enlighten us, to help us to see through, right, what's happening now. So I wonder, what do you imagine that your art can do, and how it can impact people and make people think about their lives when they go back home after after theaters.
As I told you, that I don't want to be so rich knowledge and intellectual and philosophical somebody. But I think it's real. Our art, yeah. For the first, to be artist, I still doesn't know what is artist or to be artist. I become artist not through Kazuo Ohno. My decision when I played theater was already before I decided to be artist. That means I didn't want to work. Artists are free. Artists can work when they want. And when they doesn't want to stay at home. And, I didn't work as salaryman every morning. And I live in Tokyo. And then when I saw the people every morning and then so late and come back to home, and for what they are working and receive the money. And if they are retired, then become sick and their life is almost finished. And no, I didn't want to have a kind of this life. So how you can be more free in that world? And in Japan, the people say two possibilities. You become vagabond or artist. What you can do? Vagabond? Yeah, you don't need to pay for it. You can ask somebody. You don't need a house, and you can sleep somewhere or ask, and so free. And but I didn't want to be a vagabond, so I become artist. I decided to artist. But in the art, architect, musician, composer, painter, dancer. Our art is for me so important, but so paid less. Architect, Oscar Niemeyer and Gaudi, and 100 years later, 200 years later, you can see original, absolute original. You can visit original, you can touch original. Van Gogh, Picasso, Salvador Dali, original work, the people pay million expensive money. Our art, so cheap. Nobody paid my stage $1 million. Nobody can see my dance when I die. Video is not me, another media. How important to show now, actually you live your life, you breathe, and I live my life, I breathe. Only this moment happens something to communicate. Tomorrow maybe no chance. Next year, maybe nothing. Now, how important now or never. And that is my feeling. I'm very happy to do with my way to dance, not as architect or painter or composer, composition. Few hundred years later, someone play exactly the same. No. Maybe that is also great work that I can use for my stage, still Chopin or Mozart. Great. But dance art is some point real different because we live only this time, not another.
Right. So, well, thank you all for
Thank you.
this lovely night. Thank you, Tadashi. Thank you very much.
Thank you.